I learned a few lessons when cutting this egress window out. The first was, obviously, dig more space than you think you need, especially if what you need is what code requires when it's all finished. I would have served myself well, get it? Well, because it's a window, well, to have dug a bit more during the summer when the ground wasn't frozen, but here I am, and it was time to get back to work. What I'm doing here, as my friend Crash tells me, is called stitch drilling. The whole idea, get it? Hole? Because I'm drilling holes? Is to drill mini holes either just beside or slightly overlapping each other, so the end result is actually a continuous cut. So why not one long continuous cut with a saw then? You can rent those cheaply, and you've seen me using my modified electric one on stream, because you all came from my stream, right? To cut footings in my basement and chunks out of my garage pony wall. As I was privileged to explain probably at least 15 times during this job, my foundation walls are about 10 inches thick. The blade for my concrete saw is 12 inches in diameter. That 12-inch diameter has a cutting depth of about 4 inches. So even if I cut one side, then went back inside to cut it again, and somehow managed to get them to line up perfectly, I still have 2 inches of uncut concrete in the middle with no good way to get at it. As you'll see later on, by drilling 3/4 inch holes all the way through, I was able to work a chisel bit in to get any missed pieces. I couldn't do that with a 1/8 inch cut. The amount of mess from a wet saw cut and the amount of dust from a dry cut would have been horrible. And you'll notice I didn't work with a mask on at all during this. Not because I'm such a rock star, but because the dust that comes out while drilling concrete is, for the most part, large enough to simply fall. There's no big cloud of dust here. In the endless search to be as cheap as possible about as many parts of this project as I can be, so I can buy myself the occasional bag of candy for easy calories after drilling concrete for 7 hours straight, I often find myself balancing out how tough of a job is this versus how better could I spend my time by paying someone else to do this. Cutting out the 2 egress windows for these basement bedrooms will, I hope, be the most mind-numbing, body-breaking, generally unpleasant task that needs completion for this house to come together. There's no problem solving, no figuring, no ability to hone a craft or engage in best practices. It's just sit there and drill. So could I have spent 2 days cutting and installing these windows more efficiently or economically? To answer that, you need to know what it would cost to hire anyone else to do the same job. And for me, in my city, especially at this time of year, the minimum cost per window cut is $1,500. If I wanted the window also installed, that doubles. And I would have had to have dug out a lot more as well. Because they won't install windows you supply. They'll only install the ones they supply.
Dramatic reveal.
We also have to look at what this job cost me to do. I bought a single 3/4 inch drill bit for about $60. I already had the rotary hammer. I now have to buy grease for the rotary hammer, and that will probably cost me about $10. I also bought the windows for about $200 each. One can of spray foam, some shims, and some leftover flashing tape brought my total to 2 days' time and about $500. The windows stay with the house, and I get to keep the bit. In the end, I have to decide if my time is worth $3,000 per day, and right now, it's not. So this makes sense for me to do on my own. Maybe the next house will be able to have more or larger basement windows, and it'll make more sense to buy a larger saw or some other tool that'll make this job easier. For now, I can get fresh air and natural light back in my basement.